We want music to impact people. We want to change their lives. We want to make their weekend.
It's a pretty small pond, and the whole idea is like, all right, let's add some water to this puppy.
You know, everyone always talks about Reno back in the day, and I got sick of it, and it was like, well, let's make it now.
We have to start grinding.
Yeah.
Hard. We have to think about every little thing.
We were getting crowds that were like 350, 400, and I was like, this is insane.
Your ideas as a band, how have they evolved over time?
We've just been going at it. We learn our lessons the hard way, and it's like, never playing there again.
Welcome back to the Reno Live Podcast. My name is Joel. Brian couldn't make it today. We're a little bit shorthanded, but he's here in spirit. We have an amazing local rock band, Charity Kiss, in the studio today. Thank you guys for coming in. They got a show this weekend at Low Bar, June 28th at 8 p.m. Make sure to find their latest music, Slackademic, their last album, wherever you listen to music. Again, thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
It's awesome.
I actually saw that there was a time when relocation to LA was on the table for you guys.
Yeah.
But now that's not really the direction anymore. So I wanted to get a little bit more insight onto really what maybe either changed in the Reno scene to change your minds or just personally.
Yeah, I think there was a change in everything. Like each, because we thought about the Reno scene or the LA scene, and I would say we had a rough evening in LA, and I was like, whoa, dude, I'm not doing that. We played Moroccan Lounge, which was super cool. And it was like, we played with like a buddy band that we loved. It was like an okay turnout. We were like, all right. But the evening and then dealing with the traffic and the roads, I was like, oh man, imagine this every day, dude. Or like, but at first the motivation was like, it would kind of force us to like chase the dream. It's like, well, if we're here, we got old high school friends we meet up with, and we got all this stuff. But if we move out there, we don't have anybody. It's just us. We could be jamming in the apartment. A lot changed. I got married, and so I was like, I want to stay here. Sure. And then also, as we got deeper into music, it was like, oh, I personally hold the viewpoint, the location doesn't matter. Like the digital age, and this video can get to everyone in LA that I need it to, or whatever. It's like potentially, right? And honestly, the scene as well. I feel like we got more connected to some of the bands, and we were like, whoa, actually, the more we get to know other scenes, there's nothing special about any other city in the United States. The only thing I would say that's special is they value their scene. And I feel like there was this culture in Reno of like, there's nobody good, or like, we're trying to get out because like, it sucks here. And it was like, let's just start saying that we do love Reno because we do. And then there was cool bands, and there was big shows, and then shows that were huge, and then New Year's Eve stuff. And it was like, yeah, we can make whatever we want happen here. And then we have always been a band that's super willing to drive whatever. We'll go do a weekend show in LA, and it's like, so
makes it worth it.
All of that kind of made us, and then we changed lineups, and it was like, let's focus on the album that was starting to form, and the vision was getting there. And so we were like, let's just not add distractions and then money and finding jobs and everything. We're already all here. So
multiple people we've had in here have either stayed in Reno because of the music scene or are potentially coming here from LA for the music scene.
That'd be sweet. Yeah.
And
tell them to call us.
Yeah, I know. For sure. So you were even mentioning that was a little bit, the idea of relocating to LA was a little bit before your time.
Yeah, that was before. I've known these guys forever. Nate's mom was like my teacher in 5th grade. I've been going to school with our old guitar player, one of the original members, Cole. Known him basically my whole life. I met Patrick. We had weights together. You were a junior. I was a freshman.
Yeah.
Didn't ever speak to each other.
That's about the band time though too. Like you were in your first band, and then we were all playing together.
Yeah. I started my first band, or joined my first band when they were starting theirs. Old Charity Kiss, Color TV.
Yeah.
Helped throw their first house show. Nice. So we've known each other forever. Been playing together forever. Been on the same bills, and yeah, they just called me one day like, hey, do you want to do this? And this is after. Because I remember even saying like, oh, I thought you guys were moving to LA, because I was in San Diego at the time.
It's cool.
I'm like, oh, you guys going to LA? And they're like, no, we're not doing that. We're staying up in Reno. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll definitely come home.
Nice.
You moved for what? San Diego. You were chasing.
Yeah, I was in the hardcore scene before this. I was in the hardcore scene for like a year and a half about. Before that, just doing like indie rock stuff. But the band I was with, they wanted to move down to San Diego, same situation. Like, oh, let's chase the dream out there. Or I don't live in the same house, whatever. Just ended up not working out. I personally couldn't handle San Diego, like you being from LA.
Right.
It's different, but same type of thing, big city. You know, I'm scared, young kid. I have no idea what's going on out here.
Yeah.
You know, so it didn't work out. And that was like, I want to say 2021, 2022. Gas prices were like $9 a gallon. You know, it was costing me $140 to fill up my Honda. I was just drowning out there.
Right.
Yeah, and so many other things happened. But yeah, when Patrick gave me the call, I like immediately jumped to it. I'm like, yeah, I will 100% do this.
So what do you think with Reno? How can it continue to progress, grow? What are some of the things that need to happen in order for it to really reach its potential?
I would say people like you are probably what we're missing. Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, like great. This is awesome. Because I feel like we've always tried to grassroots build something that you're doing or this kind of idea. I feel like something, because I thought about it a lot, and there was a time when I was running like a little DIY venue for a second, unfortunate ending, but helping run it, and I was like seeing this like, whoa, if there's something cool happening, like we were getting crowds that were like 350, 400, and I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, there's all sorts of things on that. But I would say the biggest thing I notice in other cities is an infrastructure around the bands, where it's like, there's DIY bookers that are running like the basement venues have a page, and it's like, this is the page, and then they're getting hit by other bands out of town. So then it like creates this, where our house scenes, for a second, there was a page for Buena Vista, which was like the cool. There was a moment we had like 3 or 4 happening. Ryland had its own Instagram page, but stuff like that where
Ryland or Ralston?
I'm sorry, Ralston.
Ralston.
For Ralston.
Ryland died in
Buena
like
Vista.
2016, 17.
Yeah, a long time ago. And but like 2 years ago, Fort Ralston and Buena Vista and those kind of people that are not just wanting to do band stuff. I think there's plenty of bands, but there's not enough like photographers that are grinding and are like consistent and are at the shows. There's a couple great ones. I'm not going to get flamed for that one, but even like, you know, like bloggers and vloggers and podcasts and things like that catch the eye of out of town people, but also show us how big this scene really is. Like, I made it a goal this year as well, actually, to go to more shows because I was just performing a lot. I do a lot of solo stuff too, and so I was like dying, and I was like, I need to go back and like go to see a show and be like a listener. And when you see how many bands and everything that's happening, it's like a beautiful scene that's going on, but there's no cameras on it. There's no way to look at it, and I think that's what Reno's lacking.
A little bit of glue.
A glue so that people can really, and on the glue, we all need to just like come together.
Yeah.
And be nice.
Yeah. How willing are people to collaborate and work together, or is it just they're not getting connected at all?
I mean, and maybe Cooper has different viewpoints on this, but I think there's a couple points that I think venues could do better supporting local, where, you know, a bigger band comes to town and they want 90% of the door or whatever, and then the local 2 bands get $80 each. And it's like, oh no, how are we going to buy merch? And they're these like little, and venues do great. There are venues that do great. Holland Project's fantastic, and they tend to stick up for the little guy. And then Low Bar treats his people right. And I think the venues need to continue to invest in the scene, go to shows and see who would fit great with the band. Because also the other part is like, an out-of-town band will go play and they're like, that show sucked, but the venue just picked 2 random bands that he doesn't even know.
Sure. When
there was 40 other bands he could have picked that would have had a better draw or like fit better sound-wise, or so there's that. And then I think maybe there's like a little drama here or there, small town drama that's like, let's just all, there's like, we should do more combined like mixed bills of genres, and there could be more collaboration, I guess. It's tough.
We had the band Huckleberry Road are familiar with them. They're a local country band.
Only I think from this and like an Instagram ad.
Okay.
Just recently. Yeah.
They've been around for a long time, and you know they've found some success. And that's something that they were really talking about. We talked like almost 2 hours with them, and it was fantastic because they were sharing a lot about. They were sharing a lot of really good industry tips, I guess. But something they were saying, they're like, you have to make your show an event. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about working with other artists. So it's like, maybe you're a smaller independent artist. You want to put on a good show. Maybe you don't have enough pull to be able to do that yourself, but go find 2 or 3 other people that you can combine forces and go put on your own show, you know, but make it a spectacle, you know, make it something that'll hit. Yeah. And they were saying that that's, you know, a big part. We were talking about growing, you know, genuine fan bases and stuff like that. Yeah. But I do think there's a huge opportunity here for that and what you were talking about too. And with Reno Live, that's kind of what we want to. We want to be part of that glue. Yeah. To bring people together. Yeah. We don't really know how to do that yet in the best way. But that's why bringing people like yourselves in it's been really valuable, getting all of your insights. So I appreciate that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. With what you said about Huckleberry, how like trying to turn every show into an event, I feel like that's a big reason of why we started gaining a bigger crowd in Reno. You know, we've been around for a while, especially before me, you know, but like how Patrick was saying, he was helping out with this kind of like super underground venue, you know. Every time we'd post these pictures, you know, it doesn't look familiar. It's not Holland Project. It's not Cypress. It's not Low Bar, you know. So everyone's like, where is this spot? You know, and there's a lot of like Buena Vista, Fort Ralston,
the Strand. Yeah.
List kind of goes on and on and on. And if you're like an old head, like Ryland days, I don't know if you know what Fort Ryland was. Dude, Knock Loose played there. Story So Far.
Choice Manor.
Title Fight played there. Like,
Current Joys.
Yeah.
Circers,
I've heard a lot of stories of what has been.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot of ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Lots of ebbs and flows in Reno.
And sorry, what are you?
No, I was almost done, but I
hurry up. I'm just
get it out.
Figure it out, dude. Figure it out or get out.
I know bass player always gets, short time.
Yeah, it's like, hey, that was enough. Stop being fancy on there. No, I'm just
hold the low end down. Nothing else, man. Get out. But no, like making it an event, and trying to be all crazy and like having a really good time and like putting on that show. I completely agree, and I think that's a big reason of why we've like kind of gained a little bit more speed in Reno, with like crowds and like them coming back, because it's always been a little different, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
It feels like,
and I do want to I feel like that's another accountability issue that we're having. I think in Reno, everyone's waiting for like the scene to arrive. Sure. But when you go elsewhere, you just realize like everyone's just kind of grinding harder.
Yeah.
Like LA, you come from LA, like those bands have their stuff together. They got, and even in the smallest, like if you're going to have a show and try and convince people to take time out of their busy lives to come and see you, practice and have a good set. And have merch. And so there are definite things that I'm passionate on where I'm like, if there were more bands that had like CDs and shirts when people went, it would feel more like a movement. But it's like, sometimes it just looks like little kids up there like waiting for mom and dad come play. And then it's like, oh man, no one came, or man, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, like plan out your events. And if you want to do certain things, I've even seen lately some bands like they decorate the stage, like that's so cool, and like but like have that thing that they can take home so that it becomes more than just at Holland. It becomes a Reno, it's in my room, your posters on the wall and your pictures on Instagram are decent, and record your music as fast as possible, like have something out there. So I think I just wanted to go on record of saying, like, I think the bands could do better. And I think that's a kind of an unpopular opinion that people don't like me for sometimes, but look at Huckleberry Road. Like, he's a pretty professional looking, they're an outfit. And when you see their pages and stuff, it's well done. Yeah. And when we try and put things on, we try and really come together and deliver. And so I think that's all it's missing.
I saw a quote, I think you said in a different interview, how you thought your ideas used to be good, but going forward you want it to be great. So how have your ideas as a band individually, how have they evolved over time?
falling down on her face a bunch of times and kind of seeing like, oh, that didn't work.
Sure.
This might work. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can see the wheels turning in your
Well,
brain.
I just feel like Cooper honestly has been somewhat of an impetus for that honing, where it was like, well, let's think about it. You know what I mean? Me and him have butted heads. We butt heads all the time.
Sure.
Good Charity Kid's got a lot of energy in it.
Yeah.
And but that kind of I love like Slacker, like the Pavement and like shitty audio, and I grew up listening to like the demo tapes and the rough edits and the live, you know what I mean? And so like I love that. But then so sometimes writing, it's like, no, it's fine how it is. Sounds a little shitty, but it's fine, dude. Like people are, and then Cooper's always more on the end of like, well, let's like polish it. Like, let's think about it.
Yeah.
Let's throw this on. So me and him fight, and then it gets to the middle, where I think that's where Slackademic was, where it was like our latest album. You know, I think we all gave a little bit, and it came together into like but I think what's changed too is we've just been going at it. We're on tour, we're driving, we learn our lessons the hard way, and it's like, never playing there again. You know what I mean? But we played there. It was like a horrible show, or or like, wow, we need to eat better food. Like, to every little thing, we've had to learn it the hard way. And because it's Reno too, there's no bands to look up to. That was kind of our thing too. Like,
no measuring stick.
No, I feel like other cities, it's like, well, look at them, dude. Like, let's try and be like them. But like Reno's like, there's nothing. So it was like, let's try and be what used to be. You know, everyone always talks about Reno back in the day, and I got sick of it. And it was like, well, let's make it now.
Gotta build it, right?
But I think, honing and coming together, and I think seeing live shows that blew us away.
Yeah.
Were like, I think Tree Fort. So we played Tree Fort 2024 was like a huge moment where we got showed up in a big way. Like, we played a fine set. We played a good set. But we realized big fish in a little pond in Reno. And we were like, you know what? We're on the world stage. We want to talk about being a big band and being financially successful and traveling the U.S. and being on the road and living the rock star dream. But like, we were a little sloppy, and like, we didn't plan our set list, and a band after us played, and it was like
murdered.
I mean, there was a couple other factors in there. We were in like an off time during the festival. There was like a huge band playing right when we were, so it was like, and they were kind of genre aligned, so it was like probably a few in there that would have been at ours, but murdered, tight set. Seamless between songs. We saw Color Green, saw Ty Segall live.
Preston Maroney.
I didn't grow up seeing big bands, and so seeing that live, and people that I had listened to since I was like in high school on YouTube, you know, like watching their videos and seeing them, but seeing how they delivered a set and how it was well thought out changed everything. And we were like, that's what we want.
Totally.
And I think we also got to a point where we were like, this music is like, people like it. And it was like, it's always surprising. We're like, you hear people singing our songs? We're like laying on someone's floor, like, did you hear those people? And everyone's like, yeah. Like, you're thinking about that too? Like, that's crazy, man.
Basement.
Yeah, so it's like, we want that for so many more people. And like,
totally. And I
like it.
I can piggyback on that. Like, that moment at Tree Fort, the band's called The Thing. Great band. You know, they murdered, but we got off set. You know, it felt kind of like a normal night. It was still like, oh, you know, what could we have done, guys? You know, it wasn't like, whoa, we just got
first time playing in Boise, we were like, how was that, everyone?
Yeah,
you
this
know,
is so
like,
cool, playing at festival.
We're like walking around.
Yeah, and then The Thing goes on, and like, the big difference was like, yes, like, we planned out our set, song, but these guys went up there and they're doing song, but their segues into each song was just chef's kiss.
Sure.
You know, it was perfect. And they had the look too, you know, they could, you know, they thought about their outfits. They thought about what they're looking like, their attitude on stage.
Sure.
You know, so that was like the biggest takeaway. And of course, like, the lights were going off, the crowd's freaking out.
Yeah,
you know?
that's crazy.
Drum solos, guitar solos, and not like too much of it. Like, cause I'm sure you've seen a band where it's like guitar solo. It's like,
Yeah, like, we get it. You love 80s rock, bro.
Sure.
Yeah, like, 6 scale, bro.
And it's like, how many more of those are you gonna do?
Totally, but they weren't. It was surprising. Just everything that they did was just
Measured.
Yeah, right. And we went into the van, and I don't know who started that conversation, but we were like, boys,
Probably me.
Yeah, probably. But we're like, we got to tighten up, because like he said, big fish, little pond. We can't get stuck in that mentality.
Yeah.
We have to start grinding.
Yeah.
Hard. We have to think about every little thing. We can't just, excuse my language, but half-ass this.
Yeah.
And be like, we're so good, because we're not. That's not how the greats became the greats.
No. Yes, and I think that's a great I think what we saw is they respected their craft.
Totally.
Where I think a lot of bands default to being like, whatever. And it's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, you're trying to make music, at least we are, Charity Kiss. We realized what we were delivering was not lining up with our mission and what makes us love this, what makes us keep going. Like you mentioned, when it becomes too much of a grind and you hating it and dreading it. And it's like, we've always avoided that by we want music to impact people. We want to change their lives. We want to make their weekend. Everybody works a 9 to 5. Everybody's got problems, their rent and bills and family and whatever.
Deposits.
But how many times have you become a fan of a band or an artist because you saw them live first?
Totally.
And
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, oh man, Ty Segall. I don't know if I'm tangenting too much, but no, yeah, seeing and in the same thing, seeing, I think I was always afraid to perform, and we're by no means freaking amazing stage on fire and jumping and flipping around, but seeing Ty Segall play the guitar and treat every note like it was coming from the sky, I was like, okay, he's obviously played that riff 100 times and he can still sit there and love it.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. Not be like, I'm so tired, we're on tour. And it's like, Ty Segall's played the freaking world, bro.
Right.
And he delivers still. So it's like, if you love it, you better learn how to love it every time.
Sure.
Yeah, so I don't know.
The audience also has to believe.
They got to believe you.
Love it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And if you're just, knocking it out because you've practiced this so much, you can do it in your sleep, but you're just stoic up there. Very few people can pull that off. Mm-hmm. You do need to put on a show.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, you really.
I think put on a show and be there. I feel like I totally was getting into a habit of just get through the set. I'm thinking about
just dissociate.
Yeah, right, or you're thinking about the next big show or your whatever.
Yeah. Dinner later that night or where we're gonna sleep or whatever it may be, and you're not paying attention to that actual moment. Even if there's 6 people there, if those 6 people, every single one of them walk away. If you go play a 500 person show and all 6 of those people walked away.
It's my favorite thing. Seeing people be like,
too,
yeah, what was it? Oh, we just played a little festival in Auburn, which is awesome. Pink Bandit Music Festival.
Yeah. Those are the Snares and Rainbow?
Snares, Rainbow City Park, all those great bands. And somebody there had seen us at a show where we were like, that was a dud. Where we left and we were like, man, that sucked. There was 10 people. And they were like, we saw you at that one show. And I was like, wow, there it is.
Well, thanks for
little evident. Yeah, keep it going. Perform. Yeah, and I think also as we go on, it gets harder. Music is hard. There's more obligations. Like I said, I'm married. I have 2 kids now. So it's it takes a lot to keep it going. Sure. So why on earth would I get to that moment and then waste my time? Or all 4 of you come together and you practice for hours and hours and you write all these stinking songs. You pay all this money to get your album done and your merch. And then you don't deliver the moment you have this opportunity. Make every moment worth it, or else just stop doing it, or just dial back and play on the week. What I mean.
Yeah, don't go too hard.
Go to open mics or whatever and get your fill. But
going back to Treefort for a sec, it takes a lot of humility, I think, to recognize what you were just describing. Mm-hmm. How much do you think bands need to go through it versus being told what to do?
I think they need to go through it.
Most musicians are egotistical. We're all in denial, but we
then
all
again,
think we're awesome, man.
It depends. You find someone that I don't know, doesn't have a huge I guess it kind of depends on the person and who's really
That's true.
Patrick is the big backing of Charity Kiss. He's he's the one leading the pack in a lot of ways. You know, we put in our input and everything. So I think for, say, like whatever person it may be, whether it's a solo artist or just the person that's, you know, taking lead of the band, if they don't have a huge ego behind them and someone walks up and goes, hey, maybe think about this, they might take it. But I think it's like getting beaten up in high school, you know, losing a fight in front of all your friends, and now it's all over social media. You're gonna be bummed out, and you're gonna probably want to go learn how to fight, or maybe not pick fights.
That sounds
Social
so
media
specific,
wasn't around when
dude.
I was in school.
Oh, there you go. You're saved.
No, it was for me, and that happened to me. So
That was like the most specific. Yeah.
just let the ego
No,
go
just-
and know that you're not. I don't know. You're not cool. You are cool, but you're not cool yet. You can be cool.
There's just learning. Yeah. Because I've tried, and we have tried to be like, take this advice, but then they always like, they're dicks, or they think they're way better than us, or misogynist, whatever it is. And it's always like, no, please. Like we've cried in our van. We have cried after. Okay.
Yeah.
We have been through a lot. We've done, you know, we've been ripped off and money deal problems and lied about and everything.
Yeah.
So like we always kind of, I mean, I feel like we're always combing our own act of like, how can we do better? Like, how can we be a better image for the people that pay to see us?
Totally.
So
Yeah, and you were mentioning Big Fish, Small Pond in Reno, which is true in some way. It's a pretty small pond, and I think the whole idea is like, all right, let's add some water to this puppy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we have enough there. It's just it's being held back. I really think if people knew how good of a scene it really was, because it is great, and that was something that surprised us a lot. We've told everybody this. Like when we started Reno Live, we were surprised at actually how much music there is happening in Reno. Way more than we ever. And that's again solidifying the point. We just didn't know about it. For a town of this size, we talked about Jack White beforehand coming through. Yeah. Everybody in town should know that Jack White was coming through town, whether you're going to go to the show or not.
Yeah.
You know,
and how is that not happening?
There's been hundreds of bands like that, you know, where like, oh, this band's coming in, or this band's coming in, and just nobody's there. And like, these are like the biggest bands in the world, Grammy-winning bands, you know, and nobody has any idea how is this possible.
Who was Marcus King just came through? That was crazy.
Yeah, I got a T-shirt.
We missed that. Oh yeah, sorry. But
I missed it, but I got a T-shirt.
There you go. Yeah, so I agree. I really think there's some sort of. Well, I always geek out about the population of Reno is what, 300,000,
350-some thousand.
Because we're all, you know, like Spotify numbers, and it's like, whoa, we're at like 6,000, and I'm like, dude, can you imagine like if we somehow just got Reno to love us,
right,
to the potential that Reno could love. We wouldn't need a tour. We would just play shows every weekend in Reno. It'd be like this.
Yeah.
400,000 people somewhere are just sitting at home because they think nothing cool is happening.
Right. Even if you were to get, a gigantically optimistic number, 10% of people to love live music. Now you got 40,000 people that are going to shows every weekend.
Yeah.
Dude.
And that's just at home.
And we're stoked to like some big achievement. We sold out Cypress, and we were like,
Twice.
And then it's like, you think about, we only convinced 350 people out of 300,000. That's crazy. Like,
we want to be part of that, but what are some specific needs that you think Reno Live could really help with?
If you were getting in touch with like 104.5, KOZZ, Reno's Classic, I think that could be.
Or KWNK.
KWNK as well.
I would go local first. And then,
But I the only reason why I say that is because I know, at least coming from like my family, the radio is always on in the cars, and I feel like that's like a big thing in Reno. Everyone's always driving to work and
clout.
whatever.
Yeah.
And that, I think that would reach like a different crowd, not just the people that just like love the scene or love Midtown or love coming downtown or whatever it may be. You know, that would probably touch a bigger stage, you know, just because people always have that on, you know, going to work. Who knows? It might have changed now that we, you know, with Bluetooth and being able to play your own music or whatever. But I mean, I think that could be really cool, because I know KOZZ's got a big following. And say KWNK.
Yeah, and there's a couple local stations. I feel like Reno needs a label. Reno needs some sort of creative body, kind of what you're doing. Maybe a segment, but like. For a while, we wanted to become a pseudo label, or at least I did, where we're like a bank for bands, where it's like, hey, here's $2,000. We're going to get you started. We just want our $2,000 back by the end of the year. Like, go on tour. We're going to help you book 10 shows on the West Coast. Because I think getting Reno out helps Reno just as much as like making Reno awesome. Yeah. And I think that's what Charity Kiss has done quite a bit. Just everywhere we are. How's the scene? It's great. It's fantastic. Even if like right then maybe it's shaky, it's like, we love being in Reno, man. You guys got to come down. And then people are like telling their agents or whatever, like, dude, we got to get to Reno. Like, we heard these kids. So I don't know, maybe what you're doing is fantastic. And honestly, like the way it's edited and everything is perfect. I feel like when I saw J-Rag Cooley.
Yeah. Our first one.
Yeah. When I saw the look and everything, I was like, this shit could pop. This shit could actually pop. Yeah, the way you guys edit and everything, that and like, I feel like being willing to just like put bands on. And I honestly think being a little bit choosy. I feel like Reno kills itself with this like, love everybody's band. And it's like, if the band sucks, do not promote them. Because then it makes Reno look like we're shit. And it's like,
or just give
the
them
best Reno could offer was like that start and give them time. Yeah, like I don't mean to say that they're shit. You know what I mean?
I get it. And the band that we had in from LA last week, they were also talking about that. They're like, they were thinking of signing with this promotional page or whatever it is, but like they're looking at other bands that that same person is promoting, and it's like, some of these bands we don't want to be associated with. Exactly. You do want to be a little bit choosy. I think that's good advice.
Totally. I think honing that kind of gatekeeping honestly, I mean, it's not a bad thing because it raises the bar too. Reno is so much able, in the same way the venues, Reno bands are spoiled where you could be a shit band and they will put you on. LA bookers and shit, they look you up and like, you're ass. Yeah. We're not, my job's Kilowatt in San Francisco. He's like, what's your ticket history? And I was like, not great. He's like, I can give you a Sunday afternoon, brother. And it's like, damn. So then what did I have to do? I got to turn and book around and do DIY and then get us up and then go forward. And then it raises the water level for everybody where it's like, so I think that'd be great.
Raises all shit. Yeah.
I don't know. And it's tough. It's a problem we've talked about, long drives. So
sure.
But,
or even like if you're able to get in touch, like big band comes in, like when Color Green came in, like
jumping on them and try and getting them on the show.
Getting them on the show.
We've been reaching out to, shooting for the moon a little bit. We've actually, it's usually timing hasn't worked out. We've gotten some responses back, which has been awesome. Never expected to get responses from certain bands. I'm like, cool. There was a band from Canada that was coming through, and they're like, if we could make it work, but like we just couldn't make it work because they were in town for like 3 hours before their show, and then they're heading out. But yeah.
I think that on that one time I emailed La Lome. I don't know if you know them, but when I was booking for that warehouse, this is when those gears started turning, and they responded, and I was like, and all they want to know is like, how much can you pay? What's the cap on the building? Like, we want to come, but it needs to be worth it. And it's like, it's kind of the same idea with this maybe. Like, dude, we'll make time for you. And I feel like once you get a couple videos popping, you'll probably get like people.
Some people that want to get in on it.
Yeah. But even these last ones you did, they did it a couple thousand is huge in Reno. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
And when I look back, I lucked out with, I've always had this, I sold popcorn at football games, just like flipping a dime. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to make a couple $100 on, and it was just like always on the brain. And so Charity Kiss, Color TV was like, always like, I'm going to figure it out. But I feel like some bands, they just don't even know where to get shirts. There's not like a band merch store.
Dude, even just having my own business and wanting to get some branded stuff, I'm like, there's no easy path here.
Yeah. And so just
research.
I wanted to make like a band training camp almost where it's like, hey, you're sick. We started it for a second. I don't want to put any names in it because I do not want it to be brought up. But the vision was there. We were meeting with bands and I was coaching them on like, what are you guys doing right now? Here's what I think as a fellow little guy, what you're missing just to be where I am.
Yeah.
And then here's what we've learned from big heads by like picking their brain when we can, you know, and like that. It's like, how often are you practicing? Oh,
Right.
not enough.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever played out of town? No, do that. Stop being, Sacramento's 2 hours away. Like,
Yeah.
there's no excuse. So totally, I think there's huge potential for raising. And then I think what happens too is like you get these promising bands, but the upkeep of the small moment that they have is so much, they just crumble, where it's like, we've played 10 shows this year, but like we don't even have money, and like what do we do? But if somebody was there like, hey, nobody take money, play those 10 shows and keep it, that's like $1,500, and then buy shirts, and then you make a little more, and then everyone come together and rent a freaking U-Haul or buy a van and move in together, like do what it takes. And then so maybe they would make it past that big wave, and then we'd have more solid bands.
Yeah.
Where I feel like they poop out because it's like, dude, this sucks, and like nothing's happening.
And like out of town, like the LAs, the Chicagos, the Seattles, you know, all those really big cities, I feel like they kind of, those bands understand that they're like, oh, we got to get past this wave, you know?
And there's like people to look to, and there's resources, and there's DIY bookers and promo and labels and pseudo label. It's amazing. Yeah, the community
see it working, you know? I mean, like, oh, wow, that what they're doing is working. We should do the same thing.
And maybe just somebody that they see as an authority being like, it's never easy.
No, it's always
Because I feel like I always had that, and now I'm just accepting. Like, seeing heroes, we played Color Green, heroes, and then like sitting outside shooting the shit, and it's like the same problems. I was like, okay, like that's just part of the. The Frank Zappa quote I just saw. I'm sure everyone's algorithm was on it, but
Zappa.
I'm sorry.
Zappa.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Franklin Zappa. Is that right? Zappa. He was like some quote. I can't remember, but it was like, don't stop and keep going. He's like, that's all. And nothing else changes. And I was like, hear it from him.
Amen, brother.
And one of those like DIY heroes that was just like trudging his own path and did not really sell out much. You know what I mean? So I think just hearing that and being like, yeah, it's tough all over for rock music and live music.
For sure.
Don't get me started on AI. No, I'm just kidding.
It seems like every conversation in the last few months, it always devolves into AI.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Like this was
Thank you for having us.
awesome to
Thank you.
get to know you. Thank you for sharing about the scene and your own experiences getting through it. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find Charity Kiss on Spotify. Check out their latest album,
Slackademic.
wherever you listen to music. Check them out this Saturday, June 28th at 8 p.m. ish at Low Bar. And thank you guys again so much for coming on. Thank you again for watching to the end, and rock on, Reno.
Rock on, Reno.
Rock on, Reno.